Hey, what's up? Let's take a look at the inside of a XM-18 or a Generation 3 XM-18. And I just kind of want to show you guys, for anybody who's never had theirs apart, or for somebody, curious about the build construction of these knives. Let's just go ahead and take one apart on camera. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to reassemble it. So we're going to use this little Alox Cadet. I always start when I take folders apart with the pivot first. And I've never found I had to hold this back with a pivot like a spanner tool. Just usually twisting the screws enough. So remember, all these screws are made in-house. Those pivots all Ricks. And it's kind of a long screw. Alright. And this pivot does not pop out very well. It's almost like this side on at least my knife was pressed in, which is why I don't need a spanner to hold this side still. And these back are hex. And it's the same. If you don't have the flat screws, I don't have the flat screws. These are the old school screws. It's the same size as the Sebenza. I don't know, coincidence or just kind of. They're definitely not the same screws. Okay, so we have 3 of these on the standoffs. And here's one of the cool things I really like about the XM-18. And again, it's not exclusive to the XM-18, but how Rick does this back area here with the standoffs that keep the knife, spaced apart, and they're monster, they're real thick, but then he grooves them out so that the blade can still close down. I'll show you when we get the knife apart. And then he has the female side of the screws, so his screw does not screw into titanium, so it goes into the female side, which is very nice, because if you just screwed into the titanium, if you were to strip that screw out on the titanium side, you're screwed. You either have to have it drilled and tapped for a larger screw or a new scale or something, but that's not an issue when you go into a female screw. Okay, so the scale pops off and the knife's going to start falling apart on me. So it's kind of that easy to change your scale. You would just change it and then put your new screws, not new screws, but your old screws right back. Okay, so it's just titanium here. Not titanium, G10. Titanium liner on the Generation 3 is a full-size titanium liner. And you can see one of the Teflon washers there. Let's try to adjust this a little better. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I think we can see better here. Okay, so here's the inner workings. And now you can see those monster standoffs, how when this blade comes down, the blade falls into the detent. And we've lost the standoff. Here we go. So you can see how that's kind of grooved to allow the blade to fall into there. So that lets Rick have these monster standoffs that are real strong and sturdy, yet that blade still tucks pretty far into the handle. And there's those female parts of the screws. Again, as I understand it, all of these parts are made in-house. Very, very cool. Alright. So here's his tang. His washers are real thin. I believe these are Teflon. Somebody correct me in the comments if they are not. Pros and cons to these washers. Yes, they're very thin. And maybe not as sturdy in theory as the regular like bronze phosphorus washers. But I will tell you, you can see oil on this because I just shot some oil in there. I didn't take the knife apart. I just kind of used this remote control bearing lube with the needle. I just poked it in there and squirted it on. But the XM-18 with these washers, they hardly ever need oiling or maintenance. In fact, I would say they don't even need it. And the action is still super smooth all the time, 100% of the time. So, yeah, prying, they're not super strong, but I've done my fair share of kind of beating this folder up. Not real bad, but, you know, just to kind of see what it can do. And there's no squishing or warping or anything of these washers. I think actually the titanium, you know, takes the abuse more than the washer does. So just my opinion. Again, not facts, just what I have found in my uses. So this is pretty important here. How Rick cuts this lock face. You can see it is ramped to allow for wear, but it's kind of at a real shallow angle. And you can see the wear marks here. Rick locks up his full tang, not the tang, I guess it is full tang. His lock bar hits the whole tang. So it's not like Striders, where Striders only hits the bottom. The XM-18 contacts the whole length. And again, that's one of the things that I feel like the fit and finish on the XM-18. Right there, you're looking at it. And also, I've heard on the forums that he carbide treats his lock face here. And I'm not sure if you can see it. But that's supposed to take this softer titanium and make it real wear resistant next to this Duratec 20CV blade. And it does seem to work. I haven't had any issues. My lock has moved over a tiny bit since I got it new, but not much. Not even enough to really say so. So you see this treatment here? And while we're up close, you can see how big and beefy this pivot is. You can see how much meat he left on the steel. So that's a kick-ass pivot. Very thick titanium. Here's his lock bar stop. Well, not lock bar stop. The blade stop when it's closed. Kind of got to hustle. We're running out of time again. I know I can make these videos 15 minutes long, but I don't want to take anybody's time no more than 10 minutes. So you see how it hits on that to close it. And then the detent kind of falls in this little area here. And you can see the screw for his Hinderer stabilizer. And I'm not going to take this clip off because these little screws are kind of a bitch to get out. So there's this Hinderer stabilizer. And that, you can see it right there, is recessed in. Recessed in so good that if you squeeze this, so you can't get this to go up, so it's not going to wear on the tang as you're using the knife and squeezing it. And of course you can't overextend this lock bar. So I'm not going to have time to put it back together, but there you guys can see the construction of the knife, how beefy that pivot was, and the titanium slab on the other side. Lock up the carbide treated face here, beefiness of the titanium, and just overall a wonderful pocket knife. Hey guys, thanks a lot for watching. We'll catch you later. See ya.